So let's talk about the number of elders. As I mentioned to you already, most Baptist churches have a single elder or pastor, shepherd, overseer, whatever term you want to use. But is that scriptural? Is that the way the apostles set up the churches in the New Testament? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work through, I believe it's 7 verses. I'm going to read these to you. I won't have a ton of commentary, but what I want to do is just show you that consistently through the New Testament, the churches that the apostles set up had multiple elders, multiple pastors in them. So we'll read these, and I just want you to sit back. I know it's a lot of verses, but just kind of take it in and notice the terms that are used. Let's begin in Acts 14:23, the number of pastors, multiple pastors, elders in every church. So when they had appointed elders, this is Acts 14:23, when they had appointed elders in every church. Now let's pause right there. Here are these apostles, greatly gifted by Christ to establish the churches, taught directly by Jesus. And what do? When they start a church, they have elders, not just elder, in them. And prayed with fasting, they committed them to the Lord in whom they had believed. Acts 14:23. Let's look at Titus 1:5. Titus is being instructed. He's a direct delegate of Paul the apostle, and he is being instructed in what he is to do in Crete. For this reason I left you in Crete, that you should set in order the things that are lacking, and appoint elders in every city, as I commanded you. Elders in every city. Now wait a minute, someone says, hold on Wes, there you go. That's every city. So in every city in America we have multiple churches, therefore those elders could have been single elders at individual churches, but that's not true. Remember, the church is just getting started. There's only one church in Jerusalem. There are not multiple churches in cities at this point. There is only one. So when he says elders in every city, he means in every church, because there was generally only one church in a city at this time. Philippians 1:1. Paul is writing to the church at Philippi. To all the saints in Christ Jesus, this is the very first verse of that book, to all the saints in Christ Jesus who are in Philippi with the bishops and deacons. Now you remember I told you bishops means overseer. Overseer equals elder equals pastor. So here we got deacons. Now remember I talked to you about truth filtering sometime before. So you look at this verse, what you've done over the years as you've read this verse is you have filtered out the word bishops. You've filtered out what that is saying. You recognize to all the saints in Christ Jesus who are in Philippi, that means the members. And then you skip right over bishops, and you see the word deacons, and you go, oh, deacons. But look what it says. You have plural deacons, and you have plural bishops, or elders or pastors. Acts 15:2. They determined that Paul and Barnabas and certain others of them should go up to Jerusalem to the apostles and elders about this situation. There was a problem brewing in some of the churches, so they went to Jerusalem. And in Jerusalem, the church in Jerusalem, they met with the apostles and the elders in the church in Jerusalem. Acts 21:18. On the following day, Paul went in with us to James, and all the elders were present. James 5:14. Is anyone sick among you? Let him call for the elders of the church, and let them pray over him. You say, well, Wes, that might mean a bunch of different elders from a bunch of different churches. It's possible that it means that, but in the context, in the time and history they are, you're not going to get a bunch of elders coming from a bunch of different cities. I mean, they didn't have cars and trains to get there. So I think what he's actually saying here is, if you're sick in your church, you call the elders of your church, and the elders of your church will come and pray for you. The elders. So you see in these, it's consistent. It comes up over and over and over again that there are multiple pastors, multiple elders in all of these churches. So let's draw a couple of conclusions here before we move on. The first conclusion is this: the only time you find a single pastor in the New Testament is in the case of the delegate of an apostle establishing a new church. And that is the case of Timothy and Titus. Timothy and Titus were direct delegates under the Apostle Paul who were sent out to start or fix churches. And in that case, they sometimes were the only pastor. But as we saw in the case of Titus, he says, fix the things that are lacking by establishing elders in those churches. Paul did not want it to stay with just one guy. So we find the second conclusion, and that is that established New Testament churches are to have more than one pastor overseeing their flocks and ministries. I'm not sure how we can read these verses and see anything different than that the apostles, under the lordship of Christ, desired and commanded that churches have more than one pastor.